Welcome everyone to episode 56 of the Bunker Talk. Super excited to have another out-of-state guest. I love when people come from out of state to visit me. Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hi guys, I'm Dan Sachkowsky. I'm known as Big D. I'm a business coach, business growth expert. I also host live events and masterminds throughout the Eastern Seaboard.
And business coach in a specific vertical or entrepreneurs in general?
So anyone who owns a small to medium-sized business, anywhere from $1 million a year in revenue to $10 million.
How'd you get into that business?
So I've built and sold 3 companies over 26 years to 30 million and sold them all. And I knew I was really good at building businesses. I've also lost a lot of money. I had 2 companies fold early on in life, and I knew how and what not to do to have an unsuccessful company. I knew what to do to have a successful company. And the reason why I went full bore into this niche is because 2022, I had a heart attack, and I thought it was my last day. And if this has ever happened to anybody, most people don't understand, how you think about it or what processes you go through. Like when you're in the ambulance, when you're in the hospital, all stuff starts going on. But you start thinking about final moments and regrets and different things. And the one thing I did say was, if I die right now, like, what impact did I really make on this world? So after I was cleared, walked out of the hospital, I said that I'm not going to own a business anymore. I'm really good at owning business. I'm really good at, doing business and building businesses, but that's not going to really impact anybody else. So how do I take my skill set and the things I've learned over the last 26 years and implement them into people so they could be the best version of themselves? So that way, 10, 15, 20 years from now, my kids, my grandkids, whatever, they're sitting around a table and someone within that circle was impacted by what their grandfather did. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like the legacy I was trying to build. Like, what can I do that's going to live on past me to help people outside of my family and other people that's going to make a greater impact?
I love that. And I'm glad that you're healthy now and you're good to go. A question for you. That having had lost 2 businesses, sold 3, can you tell me about that experience of the loss of what does it take to wake up and do it again?
So my first business I started when I was 17. 17 to 24, I made about $3.8 million. I made $680,000 in 2006. In 2007, I made 0. Mm-hmm. Economy crashed. Mm-hmm. So when you're running during great times and all you see is an influx of money coming in, that's how you customize your lifestyle. And when you don't come from a time where you had to kind of manage what was going on and you didn't have any kind of up and down expectations, I literally came into a flow of money. I just kind of built everything in my life around that. Outside of that, I looked at wealth a little bit differently then because I was young than I do today. And I still think, though, no matter the age, a lot of people look at wealth as the material, the stuff you have, the car you drive, the house you have, the watch you wear, whatever it is. And that labels you. But in turn, a lot of that stuff is a liability. And most people don't understand that. And a lot of people do it so that they can feel escalated to a certain position in life. And that was me. So I had a 5,000 square foot house at 24. My neighbor's kids were older than me. They thought I was a drug dealer. I had 2 Escalades, S55 AMG. I mean, my net worth was big. But what I realized after losing all that in 2007 was I chased money. And after looking at success principles early on in life, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and Rich by Napoleon Hill, and I was focused on all the wrong things. Those books gave me guidance, but didn't give me enough to keep moving. And people always ask, like, what was the difference between then and now? I said, well, as soon as that happened, what I realized was I never asked for help. Because I think as a kid or as a brand new business owner, no matter, even if you start a business today at 40 years old, you've got so much pride and so much ego that, like, oh, I've got this, I'm good at this, I'm gonna do this thing, and you're building towards something that's really not tangible. And that was me. So I hired my first coach at 25, and that's when everything changed in my world, because I had somebody who had vested interest in me and my success, which is going to then turn to help them build their portfolio. So all of that over 20 years allowed me to realize that if I didn't have that coach, I would never be in a position I am today. And I outscaled almost every one of my coaches throughout the years, except for the coach I have today. He's worth $200 million. I pay him 6 figures a year to coach me, but I started, very, very small. My first coach was like 20,000. And I think as a business owner, you'll invest $20,000 on a new car, a new truck, or new computer system, but you won't invest $20,000 in knowledge because you don't see the ROI. And when we go to school from 1st grade to 12th grade, we get taught by average people how to do average things. That conditional thinking really takes us to a place where we were dreamers as a kid. Like we were in kindergarten and we had these big dreams, big aspirations. We were told to draw things for our parents for, Father's Day, Mother's Day, whatever it was. And we drew some incredible thing that mattered to us. And we wanted to see our parents on a spaceship or whatever it was. And all of a sudden, now you're like 18 years old and you're like, oh, wow, I'm so glad I have a car that takes me from point A to point B. And you stop dreaming because of the way that your brain was shifted the way everyone else thinks. Early on in life, I learned something when I was a freshman, was that the system was broken. Here's why. I walk into my gym class for the first time freshman year, and my gym coach is excessively overweight. He's a fat shit. I'm like, health coach, overweight. Makes no sense. 3 periods later, I have a business class. First question I asked my business coach, our business teacher, was, hey, what kind of business do you own? I was just curious.
Never
like,
business.
Oh, I don't own a business. So this is textbook. So for me to be able to trigger that early on and be like, something's wrong here, that's where the shift happened. And when I moved from growing up in the projects and then moving to the suburbs, I realized that there was 2 totally different worlds out there. The way people around you see it and the way everyone else sees it. So I started shifting everything early on. And that just brought me to where my life is today. All the different thought processes. I was never a good student. I totally believe that, hey, listen, if you had no value to add to me based on what you're bringing to the marketplace, I don't need to listen. So I was kind of like an asshole of a kid and an asshole of a student. Because I felt like, listen, my teachers probably meant well, but there was no value for me.
Right. So many questions I have for you based off all of this. I love your emphasis on because I agree. And I sit a lot of people in this chair, and I always ask them that question about the power of mentorship. And there is a stark difference in between the ones that their businesses are thriving, that have invested in themselves, and the majority of them heavily invest in themselves. When someone is looking for a mentor or a coach, there's also just so many bad ones.
Yeah. Especially here in Florida.
Correct.
Go to Miami, it's all bullshit.
So what do you think people should ask? How should we interview the mentor or the coach that we're looking to hire?
Well, so I think at the end of the day, if you look at my Instagram, which I'm sure you did, you don't see cars, you don't see houses, you see real stuff, vulnerability. You see reality, and you see real deep stuff that's going to help you, and it's tons of free value. How do you decipher yourself from the guy who wants to just take your money and grow versus the guy who wants to use your money to help you grow? There's a big difference there. The guy or girl who is posting their G-Wagon or their Bentley or this or their vacations and all the stuff behind them is trying to make you buy into a lifestyle. And essentially what you do is you buy into their lifestyle, you start getting into their program, you start doing all this stuff. And at the end of the day, they have no business doing business, but they can afford to make themselves look the part because they have so many of you. And the sad part about it is 80% of the world lives on hype. So they look at all this flashy stuff and they go, wow, that's what I want. So when you look at somebody like me or somebody who's already been in business, we realize that shit doesn't matter. So the difference between them and me is, hey, I have the cars, I have the houses, but that's irrelevant to the success because you know what? You might want to live in a cottage for the rest of your life, but you can literally build an entire community for people. Maybe that's what you want to do. But that wouldn't be looked at as success to those people, right? So for me, I've owned a shovel. So I bought into the fact that I need a shovel. I figured out how to use the shovel. After I used the shovel, I realized that sometimes shovels break. You got to replace the shovel with a better one. And then I said, hey, this shovel's so good, I can sell it. So there's many key points to being able to talk, produce, and then teach, which most coaches can't do.
I feel like that coaching space you obviously nailed it on the head with that, because I feel, especially down here, it's so flashy, and everyone is selling the lifestyle, and it's borderline predatory, honestly, it's like they're just roping you in to continue just your yearly subscriptions, and you don't have real growth, but you can't leave the program because then they guilt you. You're never going to achieve anything. I've seen it. It's really, it hurts the industry that you're in. Obviously, it breaches it breeds a lack of trust in that. What do you think? So don't be attracted so much to the lifestyle versus the messaging, right? And obviously that you've walked the walk several times. That's a huge one. What about the mentee themselves? Like, what makes me a good mentee for a coach?
Number one, you got to be coachable. Mm-hmm. Number two, you got to realize that there's a situation right now that you can't fix. No matter what you try to do, you just can't fix it. Mm-hmm. And once we have those two things there, that you want the help and you know you need help, that's the qualification. A lot of times people go like, hey, like if I hire you, what's my ROI? I'm like, well, I don't really know anything about you and I don't know what you're doing, so I would say nothing. It's all about the opportunity for you to become a better version of yourself. And if you just became a better version of yourself, you'd be able to receive more than you've ever received before. So like, I really have to figure you out first. Once I figure you out, we do a little bit of groundwork. Well, how fast will I see results?
I feel like immediately they're just not a good fit. Because this is not an instant, I put in $1, I get $1.25 back. This is a long play. And coaching is a long play. Like you said, you hired your first one in your early 20s, right? And how does that look like, the outgrowing of mentors? When does someone know?
So I've had a number of coaches. I probably had like 11 coaches over 20-something years. The average coach I stayed with for about 2 years. Mm-hmm. One coach early on in like my late 20s, I was in my third year. And I realized something after my third year. We're learning the same thing, and I didn't realize this my second year. I'm learning the same thing that he taught me year one, which shifted in year two because I was actually doing it. So I saw a difference, and I knew how to like repeat his line because I knew where he was going. Now year three, he wants to expense me because I'm willing to stay here. Every other coach that I've worked with has graduated me. Hey, listen, you're good. I think you need to go find somebody else. I do the same thing with my clients. It's not fair for me to keep taking your money if I can't bring you more value. Mm-hmm. So the average lifespan for me, I think right now with a client is going to be 2 to 3 years at most, depending on where their revenue is. Like if they're hitting 10 million this year, they're good. Hey, this is the guy you hire next. Mm-hmm. He's going to be 3 times, 4 times as much as me. But if you're, $1 million, 5 million, whatever, we have to get you to 10 million. And that's a good process. It could be 2 to 3 years, but I will say, hey, we're good. I don't want your money anymore. Like you've already elevated to this point. It's time for you to move on. That's
also a great, I would say, as someone, that has a coach, and it's also a great question to ask the potential coach that you're interviewing, right? Like, do people graduate from your program? Like, do you hand them off when you feel they've reached, their capacity? I like that.
I hand people off and I fire people.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I could assume. Well, the worst thing is to hire a coach and not do what they say. Because then you're just, first of all, the relationship is toxic, right? Because you're just irritated. You're giving them your money. Like, why would you waste your time or your money if you're not getting anything out of them? Super fascinating question for you. Out of all of the entrepreneurs that you've worked with, what is the trait of the ones that have been ultra successful? What do you think it is? What's the character trait?
Putting their pride in their back pocket and humbling themselves. So no matter what you've learned up to this point in your life, you have to be willing to put that aside and take all the information and let it transform you. It's very hard for people to realize, hey, listen, like you've built this business for the last 5, 10 years, whatever it is. So everything that you've done into this point is great, but that's why you're stuck.
Right.
Let's forget that stuff. We're going to literally reverse this whole thing out so I can look at this whole thing and see, based on me engineering it backwards, where was the point where you kind of hit, now you got stuck. Okay, now we have to remove all that, but then people become like, hey, I really like this, or I really like that person, or, there's no emotion in growth of business. You got to pull your emotion out of it. You may love somebody that's on your team or working with you, but you should love their results as much as you love them. And a lot of people are emotionally attached to things, and it's very hard for them to disconnect. So what I've seen mostly is that it's the disconnection, being able to disconnect from the past, because like you almost have this feeling like, I built this to this point.
Right.
Like, why is it no good anymore?
Right. How, let's talk about that for a second. And even in your own experiences with your own businesses. And obviously the times have changed drastically, right? Post-COVID, work from home, the internet, AI, everything. What is your best advice for someone that's struggling with hiring and maintaining a culture?
I talk about this a lot. Most people don't have a culture. Most people
define a culture for me from your perspective. What does that look like in a business?
So number one, core values.
Okay.
Number two, teamwork versus employee work, right? How does everyone show up like they're part of a team? So when you look at the winning team of the Super Bowl, you look at the winning team of the World Series, you look at any winning team out there, look at their camaraderie. There's always one or two players who are the absolute elite. But they don't disconnect because of that. They know, hey, that's their role. This is my role. Even if it's a player who doesn't even play, the camaraderie is all there. So how do we transfer whatever you got going on to now that we have a team that we're going to connect with and coach with together and grow together? Most people that have a business, the people that work for them, and I'm going to say it like that, I don't want to say work with them, because most people don't hire people to work with them. They hire people to work for them. Now, when you have an employee, they show up for a wage. But when you have a team member, they show up for a result. So you can literally pay people the same amount of money and you can get driven results as long as that person feels welcome, feels like they've done something accomplishing, and they realize that they're contributing their part. So that's a big thing right there.
I've had 55 people in this seat, and the hardest thing is always employees. It's always hiring, finding the right ones. What is your philosophy on that? Are you hiring for personality, or are you hiring for skill set? Do you teach the skill set? What do you think?
So it's easier to teach someone who knows nothing how to do it as long as they fit best in your culture, right? So the problem with hiring is there's a couple different ways people look at it. Let me throw a resume up on Indeed and see who I can get. And first questions we start qualifying them with is like, what is your expected pay level? Why don't you just like ask them a whole bunch of questions, see what value they bring. Based on the value they bring, then you could talk to them about money and talk to them how they could be a part of something and grow and give them full potential. But the problem is it's all reversed. It's always about like, how much is it going to cost me to bring you on? It's actually going to cost you more, because if you don't really get to the root of who this person is and what their values are, you're going to keep hiring, firing, because whatever that email thread says back and forth is not going to be the result that you're looking for. And you should also have, like, in your hiring process, back and forth on email a little bit, and then maybe a phone conversation, and then maybe 2 or 3 in-person meetings before that person even steps foot into your office.
Do you believe in getting the buy-in of the team before bringing them in?
It depends on the company. It depends on a role. If it's a high-performing role where, let's say it's a high sales or high management position, some of the other people on the team may disagree, because this is now, consider somebody who's going to come in at a higher level and be almost like, their senior. So it all depends on how you're running your organization, but there should be people on your team who, like, throughout that 3 interview process, where it's like, if you have a CEO, CFO, whatever, they should be part of it, because it should be cross-examination and seeing how all the personalities are going on the people who make the important decisions. But as far as the rest of the staff, I would say no, but it really depends on the culture you're creating and the business that you're running.
And are you of the belief of fire fast?
I'll fire fast.
Yeah.
As soon as you feel like
You're already late.
Yeah.
You're already a little late. Yeah. So
I give people like an expiration, right? So like you got a 30-day trial with me, 60-day trial with me, whatever it is. I will hint you along the way, like, bro, you ain't gonna last. Bro, I'll find somebody else, whatever. And then the day that I go, hey, you're done, don't act like it's a shock.
Right.
Because I've already warned you.
I think that there's for entrepreneurs that are new in business, right? I always use the pizza guy, right? Or the pizza lady, right? They open a restaurant because they like to make pizza, not because they know how to run a business. And then everything else just ruins their love of making pizza, right? So the employee management part, the culture piece, right? You don't want to hold, what's the balance in between someone that's not a natural entrepreneur, hasn't learned that yet, of holding people accountable, but maintaining the workspace, the camaraderie, the team environment.
So a lot of people don't do like, I call them team huddles. I do them on my team too. A lot of people don't do team huddles. They don't get the whole team in one area, one conversation. You see like, hey, who's the power player here? Well, so I'll just say like A, B, C, and D. I won't name people. So I have A, B, C, and D on the phone. Every one of you have had tasks to do last week that we went over. Here's your accountability. Here's what you need to do. A is very, very underperforming. B is excelling. Everything is getting done. C is making excuses why this isn't happening. And D is like, hey, how do I become more like B? Right? So you almost create a culture where it's like people are looking to level up because they see other people versus, it's always like, hey, how can I help you if you're stressed out or something? Like, what can we do to help each other? So make them all feel a part of it, but at the same time, make them feel weak where it's like, B is like really killing this shit and I'm not doing anything. I need to step up my game. They need to feel that versus you tell them that. Right. What does a natural business owner say? Listen, A, you see what B's doing? Like, why aren't you doing that? You can't act that way. You got to let them feel it themselves because the pain is either going to create action or disconnection.
Right. Or self-select out. Yeah. What about that entrepreneur that is doing it all themselves and they're the bottleneck and they haven't decided to hire? I
love them.
Yeah.
So that's my expertise of training and coaching. So 90%, I think it's like 87.9% of business owners are the bottleneck. 87% of business owners are an underpaid employee and they have a business that owns them. So I love when people go, I own a business. And I look at them and they're like, they're wearing the clothes that they would wear in their company. They're dirty. It's 8:00 at night. They're still not home. In the back of my mind, I was like, I was there once. Your business owns you. So why do people get involved in business? Time freedom, lifestyle, different things that they want to do. But ultimately, when you're in business for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, what ends up happening? You run yourself to exhaustion, more hours, more money, more problems, more chaos, more burnout. If you have a family, what happens to your family is your family gets what's left. If I ask a common question to most people, why do you do what you do? Well, I want to provide my family a better life. Really? Well, you're working 60 hours a week and by the time you come home, you're disconnected. You don't sit down for dinner. You sit on the couch. You just want to fall asleep and you don't want anyone to bother you. What are you really doing for your family? This is why in entrepreneurship, there's so much divorce. There's so many different things because there's no connectivity. So I train people and I say, listen, like if you're going to build something, let's say you're starting a business for the next 5 years and you have a wife, you have kids, whatever, or you have a husband and kids, whatever. This is a new area for all of you. Number one, your spouse needs to be on board.
Right.
Don't say, I'm doing this with or without you. I'm doing this and like, just trust me. No, they need to know what your vision is. If your family doesn't know your vision, they're not going to have a clear understanding of why you're never around. So what I tell people early on is this, listen, your first 5 years in business, and I don't really coach people who are in their first 5 years of business, some people, but not many, like usually you're past that point. But even for people who are past that point, it's like we're building a new business. You need to give your family the vision. So let's say you have young kids. Hey guys, like daddy's not going to be here, for the next 6 months, 12 months, because I really have to focus on some of these things in business. But I am going to cut out Saturdays. I'm not going to be on my phone and whatever it is. Every Wednesday night, I'll make sure I'm home. But here's what I'm going to do. Next April, we're all going to Disney. And I'm working so hard to go to Disney that every time you guys see me, I just want you to think about that trip. And on that trip, I'm not even going to do any business. Now what happens? Your whole family's on your team.
They're bought in.
Yeah, we're ready. We're sold.
Well, it's a family ordeal, right? Right? Like you got their buy-in. They're all working towards this goal together. It's not just you overworking or not being present.
Your kids will never remember the trip that you were present at, but still not attending to, versus the trip that you presented and became present at, because it holds a lot more value.
Right. That's so. What does that look like though? That entrepreneur, that
bottleneck?
that bottleneck. Tell me what it feels like. Like describe so that way if someone is listening to this and they can identify, wait, this is me.
So when a business owner operates their first business, they feel like they have to do everything. Email, phone calls, operations, estimates, if that's what you do, whatever it is. And now they've got a full control and they're falling behind the dial, but the biggest thing is like, I'm not making enough money yet, so I can't really hire anyone to come in here because it's going to cost me money. But time is our most valuable asset, number one. Number two, if you're an owner operator and you're doing all the emails, terrible. You're doing all the phone calls, terrible. Such cheap replacements to do all that stuff that you can buy back time and become a performance asset to your company. So what do most business owners say? Well, if I could just find somebody like me,
right,
we'll be good. Now, I've said that before. You've said that before. We've all said that before. But if you really think about that, it's disgustingly selfish to say that, because internally, as you grow a real solid company, you realize over time how bad you really were. We suck as business owners. There's people who literally can carry one of those 5 titles, if there's 5 positions, that will outperform us every day because that's their lane of expertise. But as a business owner, you don't want to hire people because you can't trust them, because you can't build the right systems around them. You don't have processes, and you don't want operations to be working without you overseeing everything. That's where the biggest problem is.
I read last year, I think it was, I read the Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy book, The Who Not How.
Oh, yeah, that's a great book.
It's such a good book, and that's really, that's the first book I had read that had deciphered it that easy, where it's just, first of all, 80% done right by someone else is better than 100% done right by you, right? You got to let go of the control to understand that the work has to get done. And you train, right, for that 20% of the mistakes or the things that they get wrong or that you don't like or that's not up to your standard. But there's no scaling doing it yourself, right? And so outside of hiring, right, we know that hiring and delegating is one of the fastest ways to scale. What else do you think it takes?
Well, you didn't only read that book; you read Traction, which I saw.
I read Traction, yeah.
You know, Wickman, that's a powerful,
incredible book.
So a lot of my clients, I refer that book, but I can't refer that right away because it's too overwhelming.
It is I read it when I first opened, and I was like,
you're like, shit, I'm doing everything wrong.
So much.
So like the Who Not How is important, Atomic Habits is important. So all these different books, depending on where they are, I've read over 960 books. So I know what book to direct to people depending on the questions that I ask them and where they're at. But that's an amazing, amazing book. So your question was what? I'm sorry.
Outside of hiring and delegation, what else does it take to scale a business?
Well, it takes a visionary, right? Like you have to have a vision, but at the same time, you got to realize that whatever plan that you have, it's going to recalculate. So a lot of times in business, people feel like a failure because they have a plan and they have like a long-term plan, but they don't take that long-term plan and just like chop it up and say, okay, short-term, here's what I'm going to go year 1, year 2, year 3. And if you do that, you have actually like tangible goals that you can actually step towards versus the long-term thing. So most people go, I want to make $1 million. Well, do you make 100,000 yet? No. Well, have you made $500,000 yet? No. All right. So I was talking to a guy, one of my clients on the phone, you know, he's probably doing like $400,000 a year net. I mean, that's not a bad living, but he's like, I want to make $1 million a year net. I said, all right, let's get you to $500,000. Now we know we can do it. Then we'll go to $750,000. Then we'll go to $1 million. I said, gradual process is continual growth and it's sustainable. When you go from 0 to hero, you're going to crash because you're not going to know how to keep that sustainability. So a big problem in business is that, you know, most people to grow their business, they don't realize that things are going to change along the way, because when you're at a lower end of business and you want to go higher, whatever you're thinking at this lower end is really not what happens at the higher end. So I tell people, like, listen, to take off your business. So they said, like, 10X is easier than 2X. It's another good book.
So good.
It's harder to get started than it is to finish. A jet uses 90% of its fuel at takeoff. So it takes so much just to get to that first punch. But now once you've gotten there, everything you had to do to get there becomes easier the further you go. But what happens is everything you thought it was going to take to get there is totally different. So here's why I equate it to a GPS. We're on our GPS and we're like, all right, smooth, easy sailing. Detour. Shit, the road's closed. Remember back in the day when the road was closed and you were on MapQuest? You had no idea.
You had it printed?
No idea where you were going.
Yes.
Because before that we had maps.
Yeah.
Once MapQuest came out, shit, we don't need that. We're going to print this. We got 8 pieces of paper, 0.20. You're like, and if you missed that,
you couldn't leave your house without printing it, like, because then you just don't know where you're going.
Your passenger seat was full of MapQuest.
Yeah.
So now what happened is when you were on MapQuest and there was a detour, you're like, this has not prepared me for this shift. Mm-hmm. And people will get so messed up with that. And that's the same way in business, because in business, if you don't have a map, you can't do it. So the actual real map that we used to use before MapQuest was better than MapQuest. MapQuest made things complicated. So the roadmap to business, if you actually map it out correctly, like I said, take your long-term goals, figure it out, but realize that you're going to have to make turns, new developments, new turns over the next 5 years. Things are going to change. So why does the new GPS system in our car work the best? You turn off the road, remap. So that's where a coach comes in. Mm-hmm. Everything that you thought you'd be doing, now it's hard because you're like, shit, if I just go a little bit further, I could turn around in a do not turn. And then sometimes there's not one because there's a medium the whole way. So this is the whole thing, is our thought process. And we try to look so far ahead of what we're trying to do. That's why we can't grow. And everything starts to change. We don't want to adapt to the change. We want to keep doing the damaging things to our business. And we just put ourselves deeper and deeper in the hole. And we take ourselves further and further away from the goal.
And I think that we're so busy being in it, right? Head down, working, that you say, yes, I want to make $1 million. Okay. The question, okay, but have you made the 250, the 500, the 750? And if not, how? And it's like, you got to you got to look up, right? And catch a breath, look back. That's also Gap in the Gain, great book on making sure that you are celebrating the wins that you did have, that maybe you're just so busy, you didn't even recognize that you had a good year because you're so focused on the bad. But this idea of, this is why what you do is so important, because you are big picture viewing it all while they are managing the day-to-day and doing all those things, and the family and the business and the employees. And you need a steward for your business. And you need to understand that you need the help. You don't know it all. You need the help. So I love that.
It happens with everyone, even like young kids, right? So young kids don't realize, like, your coach, like, if let's say you're an excellent sports player, what happens to that young kid when he becomes the star? He forgets about all the coaching. Right. Now he's a star. It doesn't matter. Right. His ego is shining. He's who he is. And he doesn't have to listen to anybody anymore. Mm-hmm. But if you've ever excelled and done anything excellent at levels of your life, it's because somebody helped you get there. You never did it alone. Mm-hmm. I was the best at this. Well, you didn't do it by yourself. Somebody had to help you get there. There's no individual person in this world that can do something solo that's going to be so great that the whole world's going to be looking at. It doesn't work like that. So every single thing that we do has to be positioned with, how can we get there faster? How can we get there without less pain? And that's where it comes into knowing that everything we've ever excelled at, even at a young age, was because somebody was mentoring us to a point where we're able to be our best self.
And the importance of giving it back too, right? Like, what we're all being pulled up, don't forget to also pull up on your way. Like, it's not just you receive and then make sure to
That's why you turn your employees, if you call them your employees and you call yourself a boss. Like, I hate when people call me a boss or have called me a boss. I'm not your boss. Leadership doesn't lead with a title. The highest member and the lowest member on a team all play the same game. So if you're rising at whatever that looks like, your team's naturally going to rise with you because your leadership is going to bring them up. It's going to elevate them. But when you're a boss and you're looking at, hey, I want to make $1 million, and that's another downfall in business. People just want to make money. Mm-hmm. Money is a tool that will help you, but if you focus on making money, you're going to continue to chase money for the rest of your life. But if you focus on delivering value, like I deliver value, I help people, I change lives, and every single week, direct deposit, money's just coming in my account, and I don't worry about it. And if I wasn't doing that, I wouldn't be getting paid, right? So it's like I don't have to worry about the money because I'm creating the impact. So as a business owner, how do you bring impact, problem solving, solutions to whatever it is your lane is? And as long as you're the best at that and you focus on that and you don't focus on the dividends that growing, they're going to continue to grow higher than they ever have because you're focused on your results and you're focused on your impact.
How does someone that has never been a leader learn how to be a good leader?
So this doesn't go for business. It goes for anyone, I guess. It really depends on the individual and what they want. So I read a book a long time ago. I'm reading it again. It's called Ego is the Enemy. A lot of people just kind of put themselves in a place where, number one, they don't believe they need help. Number two, they don't want help. Or number three, they think they can figure it out themselves. You're going to find people, and I found coaching clients too that I had to get rid of, that just don't want to lead from the front. They want to push. And here's what I said to them. Listen, it's a lot easier to run the race with everybody next to you than it is for you to excel and go further and then come back and get them. Too much exhaustion. So leadership is not something that you're born with. People go, oh, you're born with leadership. It's something that you identify is needed. And sometimes people just don't want to be a leader. They just rather just sit there and be a seed and, hey, somebody else water me, and that's fine. And there are business owners that shouldn't be doing business. And the hard fact is that they have to understand that. I had a client I had to fire, and he just wasn't good for business. And no matter what I said to him, it was argumentative. It was this, it was that. I said, listen, dude, like, I'm not going to fight you. You know what I mean? Like, this is not for me. And you're very exhausting. This is why you're single. This is why you live by yourself. This is why none of your family talks to you. This is why all the things happen in your life, because you created this as your identity. Mm-hmm. And until you want to change that and become a different version of you, nobody's going to respect you. This guy thought that the whole world should be like, look at what you're doing. You're incredible. You're this. But you're looking for people to clarify in a good way that you're doing something positive, but you're such a negative soul. You know, there's just some people you can't help.
Well, I think that, I mean, first of all, I think that's also one of the bad things about the internet. It's glamorizing this lifestyle and this role of entrepreneurship. Like, this is it's difficult. And if you don't want to do it, you should not do it. Like, just just
do it for the right reasons.
Do it for the right reasons. And I think that a lot of people think it's well, because of the highlight reels and things like that, where it's the lifestyle, but the lifestyle definitely comes at a cost.
Entrepreneurship holds a lot of responsibility. Mm-hmm. You have families you have to feed that aren't yours. You have people that you have to raise that aren't yours. And you have other people who are so dependent on the things that you're bringing, and you can make or break your future and their future. And most people who get in business don't realize that.
Right.
Every single person that you're paying or that's a part of your team, their families are dependent on your decisions.
Right.
So
and your behaviors.
Yeah, and your behaviors.
Yeah.
So like when people work with me, I'm super direct. Like, this is the way I want it. And I know, because like at the end of the day, I'm not coddling anybody. We're going to work hard or we're not going to work at all, because there's people out there who want to work, right? So at the end of the day, people will come up with excuses. I don't feel good. I don't this. That's fine. I don't have time not to feel good. Like, I'm a decision maker. Things got to get done. And even if I don't feel good, I still have to show up, right? And I put the picture like, hey, you could be lying in bed sick right now and not feeling well, but if your baby was falling off of a cliff, how fast would you get out of bed? Right? So it's all about the action you're going to take for the important things in your life and how you think about it. So most business owners get involved in business because they want to make money. They don't want to serve people. So you don't only serve whatever your community is, whatever your clientele is, you also serve the people who are bringing you there. That's why most businesses don't grow, because they don't realize that everyone full circle makes the same impact. If you're just the one who, how many business owners you see, nice dinners, nice cars, nice stuff. And it's like, now that they've made it to a certain place, it's like everybody else is just a lower standard.
Right.
That you'll never elevate it.
Right. No. And talk about a culture killer too. Like, who's going to want to come work for you and help you? It's one of those things. It's one of those basic philosophies, I guess, in business too, where it's like, if you help people achieve their dreams, they will help you achieve yours. Right. So it's kind of that same philosophy.
I tell people I'm a hope dealer.
Yeah. I love that. I love your perspective on it, especially from the point of having lost and sold, so you've been in all the positions. You know what they all feel like, what it feels like to rebuild, what it is to celebrate the win, like, and all in between, which
a lot of times too, people are like, you don't understand my life. I don't understand your life. I'll trade you. I'll give you one day in my life over the last 44 years. You wouldn't even know what to do. Mm-hmm. But people think because something bad's happening to them right now, like this is an epic shot.
Right.
Life is going to kick the shit out of you. Mm-hmm. If you allow it to kick the shit out of you, you're going to be stuck and only getting the shit kicked out of you once. But if you use that moment to grow and accelerate, listen, the higher you go, so I always use this whole mountain scenario. Like, if you've ever looked at a valley of mountains, they just get higher and higher and higher. If you were to start right here, you want to climb 15 mountains, you got to go over the littlest one, then the next one. So what happens? You go up, man, you rise, you're at the top, you could see over, but you just can't see over that one. Now you got to go back down. Mm-hmm. Well, why does life present opportunities like this? And I use the roller coaster scenario. Think about when you were a kid. You go to the theme park, the roller coaster. You're online in a roller coaster. You're so excited. You're adrenaline. You're ready to go. You get at the top of the line. You want to sit in the front, right? And now the front's taking shit. I'll sit in the back, right? So the front and the back were always the best on a roller coaster, right? So now you're on the roller coaster. They check your bar. What do? Mm-hmm. You try like 15 times to make sure
you got to double check.
And the whole time you're on the ride, you're still doing it. You're still doing it. Now you're going tick, 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 tick. You're at the top. You're sitting there. You pull that bar back so tight and you go down and you look down and you just start screaming. So the fear, the anticipation of climbing the mountain is so great. Now you're going to fall, and all you're thinking, we've all done it. Please don't break. Please don't break. Please don't open. Please don't open, right? We all do it mentally. Then we go, we're all over. And at the end of the ride, we go, holy shit. Oh, that was so good. I want to do it again. And then the next people that come on, I'm telling you, this happens everywhere. Next, you're getting off. These people are waiting. How was it? Oh my God, it was amazing, right? So the anticipation of the ride and then through the ride and everything that's going on, your whole job while you're on a roller coaster, sit down, buckle in, enjoy the ride. It's going to be bumpy. It's going to be up and down, but at the end, you're going to be safe. So why doesn't a person feel the same way? Because that's life. If you only make it to the one top and the one drop and you stay at the bottom, you'll never experience the full potential of life. And hey, guess what? When you stay down there, nobody feels bad for you. Nobody cares because people want to watch you stay down there. You have to be the one that wants to elevate.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's a great analogy. One last question, which I didn't think we would get here so fast, but the personal branding. What is your best advice for an entrepreneur that is starting in business, has no idea where to start?
Personal branding is super important. So I'll just spend a couple minutes here. I know we're short on time, but most business owners think I'm going to make my business my identity. Mm-hmm. If your business is your brand, you'll never be able to scale that business. Let's say you want to franchise it. Let's say you want to sell it. You can't sell something that's tied to you. So your personal brand needs to become the person who's almost like the talk person or the sponsor of this company and a person who's created the identity of this company, but it's totally separate. So like all my companies were branded in their own way, and people would see my companies, but they wouldn't know who the owner was, right? So in the event I sell the company goes, the company still moves. Nobody knows who was behind the operations. Where everybody else is doing their own videos, doing this, doing that, and that's cool, but you got to get to a point where, you have other people on your team doing it. You have other people doing stuff. So it's like the bigger you get, major CEOs of companies are not making the commercials. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So branding is super important because your brand becomes your identity. Like everyone knows Elon Musk. If you look at Elon Musk's following and you look at Tesla, there's a huge difference. Tesla's down here, Elon's up here. Why? Elon is the man. He branded himself. Mm-hmm. If Tesla ever goes away, Elon will still carry, right? So that's the same thing with your business is like you need people to identify with you, love, trust, and feel connected to you. That way, anything that you bring to the market and anything that you do will associate back to, hey, trusted authority, and here's where that person is guiding me towards. So it's super important because your brand will live with you forever and it will outlive you, where your company is something that should be something that you can give away or put somewhere else as long as you're not so tied into it.
Right. And your personal brand being in different ventures, different industries, it carries through. No matter the industry or the company.
Yeah. So my big brand is like Big D, Big D, Big D, right? So like no one's going to replace me, but in the coaching space, I'm not my client. In the masterminds that I do, I'm not the person. I'm just a solution there, but every single person there plays a part of it. And one day I'll be like, all right, hey, you could take on this mastermind. You could take on these events. You could do all this. One thing people will never do is replace me, but everything that I build around me can go away one day because I can live on.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Tell everybody about the mastermind that you have coming up here in Florida and where everyone can find you.
So here in Florida, in southern Florida here, either in West Palm or Fort Lauderdale, we haven't locked in the location yet, but for the entire year 2026, we're going to do a full day mastermind, one every quarter. So if you're come to this mastermind, we're going to be solution driven. We're going to make sure so the bottlenecks, all the different problems in your business, we're going to be able to drive it. It's not about hype. It's about learning, being disciplined, and being around other business owners who are successful, who are going through the same stuff. My framework is going to take your business from where it is and be 3x within 12 months through a community. I'm also offering 90-day coaching for free for anyone who joins the mastermind. Therefore, they can be accelerated into the mastermind. So we're going to do one every quarter. I also have a mastermind in Jersey. So if you miss the Florida event, it doesn't line up, you can come to Jersey. Jersey can come to Florida. And every quarter, we're going to do one in Jersey, one in Florida. And then that other month, we're going to do something on Zoom where both communities come together and we talk about the solutions that you're getting and the results that you're getting based on the first curriculum. And then we're going to go every single quarter, VIP dinner the night before, one full day mastermind, guaranteed growth within 12 months.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, and tell everybody where they can find you.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Hey guys, you can find me on Instagram as my biggest platform. I'm on all social platforms, but on Instagram, I will connect with you. You shoot me a DM, any questions, anything you need. I'm all about free information, helping you get to your highest levels. It's not about the money. Big Dan Official on Instagram. Also, if you're looking for the mastermind, it's going to be Big D Mastermind bigdmastermind.com/Florida, bigdmastermind.com/Florida, or bigdcoaching.com/one-on-one. That's how you can connect with me. I appreciate it and I look forward to helping you guys.
Thanks so much for your time, Big D.
Thank you.